Literally, absolutely nothing. We even gave the dogs their gift is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. She was on one side of the couch, I was on the other side, exhausted, and we watched movies. Namra, I will share that in a link here as well. Let's see. Jerry, yes. I know. It's my favorite city in the world. Like I could live there if I didn't love dogs and golf so much, if I didn't love dogs and golf so much. So great to see everybody, on the Sunday after Chris the we're kind of in that weird space, it's not Christmas is over and then New Year's is like right there and nobody's working. So we'll talk a little bit about that here today, but got to let you know, not acting in my capacity as a licensed financial professional, simply here to offer opportunity. What you guys do with that opportunity is all up to you, as well as you got to be aware of any and all risk, understand that risk, be willing to accept that risk and take on that risk. And any trades that I show and call out here today, if you guys take those, just know that's of and on your own volition. This is me. Everybody knows. Is this anybody's first session? Yes or no? Anybody's first session? Or do we got all veterans here? Let's see. Okay. Just for everybody's edification on me, my name is James Bishop. I have been in trading and trading education for 16 plus years. I co-own a managed fund, so where we do individually managed accounts. That ended up at this point, well, I'm very comfortable in saying we're up about 29 to 30% this year, which was great. Another great year for us. Another big beat of the S&P. So we are up probably at 120% over the last 4 years, which is phenomenal. Then I do retirement and estate planning. Really, what I simply do is I help people take advantage of tools that will save them money on taxes, some being completely tax free, help them retire with consistent income for the rest of their life so they don't have to worry about anything, as well as protect their assets from any downside risk and optimize their retirement. When I took it over for my parents, I added $100,000 a year to their retirement income, getting my dad to think to retire early, much to my mom's chagrin. She's like, no, no, no. He needs to work a few more years before I have to deal with him 24 hours a day. He needs to work a few more years before that happens. So, Jerry, yes, it is. I am patriot through and through. What can I say? So he's a pilot, so he's probably going to buy a plane and actually become like a flight instructor as well. He's not a pilot for our airline. He has his private pilot's license. And he right now works for a defense contracting company in avionics. But that's what I do, is I help people optimize things for that. And if you ever want to set a meeting with me at the end of this webinar, I'll actually send you guys a link and you can book time with myself or I have Brent is on my team. I have 20 agents that work for my company that I own. And we'll have myself and one of them in there with us to help figure out and plan and make sure your plan is great. And I'm one of those people, like I tell you, if I can't do anything better than what you got, I'm not going to screw up what you got going for you. I'll tell you flat out honest, because that's just the way I would like to have people deal with me and my family as well. I have my MBA in finance and global portfolio management and working on my doctorate in finance and economics, specifically on retirement and the impact that account type selection has on retirement. Like, here is a crazy statistic. Did you know that if your financial advisor takes 2% from you, every year, right? Let's just say it's 2% that he's taking from you. That can result in about 30 to 40% of your gains getting paid to him or her, which is mind blowing when you think about it. So, couple other quick housekeeping items. The Discord channel, I'm going to bring that up, and then I'm not going to have a session on January the 11th. One that is the day before my 40th birthday, which my gosh, I got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel, as my mom would say. Lori, yes, I do. I definitely do. I want to get my license as well. But so January 11th is the day before my 40th, and then also I'll be traveling that day. So I don't want to like risk not being able to to like have the session on time. Here is the Discord link right there. Uh, um, Rob, that's hilarious. You know, Priyanka, wow, that's amazing. I've never met anybody, personally met anybody with my same birthday. So, good to know tangentially, I have there's somebody else out there born same day. There's the Discord link. Feel free, Namra, did you get it? Just making sure, to join the Discord. Look, we have people posting trades. We have people posting how they're trading, what they're doing over the holidays, things like that. And really what I want to do here, right, is my goal is to build a community where we're all interacting, we're learning from others, you're learning about what works, what doesn't work, trade setups, things that you guys want to look at, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And good call, Stuart. It is. See, that caught me. I forgot to write the six now, right? It's 2026. So that's what the Discord is all about. Feel free to join that Discord. Feel free to join that Discord with that link. Want to make sure that you guys are in it and ask away and all of that. This week's fundamental news announcements, very light on fundamental news. Obviously, the first, the market is closed. But we have pending home sales on the 29th of December. On the 30th of December, we have FOMC meeting minutes. And then to wrap up the year on the 31st, we have one last open unemployment claims announcement as well. Feel free to screenshot that if you want to. Wes, that's awesome. Yes, it is. It is, Namra. That's it. And then earnings reports this week, there are none. So I just threw that in there. Other major news that came out this week and going into next week. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw saw that there was a joint press conference between President Trump and President Zelensky from Ukraine. And they're saying that they're very close to a full out peace agreement, which would be great. And I think if that were to happen before the end of the year, then we'd see a little bit of a bullishness out the market. We've had some other major things that have come out. Amazon abandoning their plans for drone delivery in Italy. And then we had NVIDIA. They have a licensing deal with Groq, Groq, which is a chip designer. And it's a $20 billion all cash. It's not a takeover. Okay. It is not a takeover. Groq will still be operating it as its own company. However, they will just be in an agreement with NVIDIA. Yes, we're going to talk about silver, which you guys, I mean, I hope that you guys have been investing in silver since I called it out several months ago, and I've been trying to say it every single week. And let's see. What about Israel recognizing Somaliland as sovereign? Wes, I wasn't really. I'm trying to look at the big, like, I'm looking at the big overarching one of Ukraine, Russia, because that's such a big news get. And there will be some winners and losers outside of that in the market as well. Um, so let's see. The other thing that I was going to bring up, I know Coupon said, they had a data leak and they say they recovered the breach. Target, great earnings, and Warner Brothers Discovery, that deal is still going on. And it says that Warner Brothers Discovery is willing to talk with the Ellisons about a Paramount Skydance deal if it raises its bid to $30 per share, which is massive. So let's get into some market stuff here. I don't think that's going to go through. I think it will end up being Netflix, but let me get, sorry about the dogs in the background. Some of these stocks listed out that I know we want to look at. ASTS, HYMC, Melly. I'm sorry, I'm going through the chat here. Hold on one second. AVGO. I have that. Target. Okay. And Netflix, NFLX, GBP, JPY, AIM. And then I know we're going to take a look at silver, and gold, and PLAB, UMC. And what I want to talk about is CRISPR. Of course, we're looking at UNH, that's for sure. So let's get on into it. All right, so we'll start with silver. If you haven't looked, here is the futures contracts on silver. We've shot up into $82.67 was the market high. So $82.67 was the market high. Now, when I talked about them back in like June, July, when we first kicked this off, we were looking at like 36 to $40. And now $86 is where we were. If we drop it down to a 5-minute, you can see there is a little bit of a pullback on silver as well, right? There's pullback on silver. We'll probably pull back into this gap right here at 79.70, and then we'll see the next bounce up. All right, 79.70, and then we'll see the next bounce up. Okay, so if you're not in silver futures, SI is their SI. What is the contract here? SI1 is what I have, but let me just go. Sorry. It is SIF 2026 is your January futures contract. Okay. Yes, there is a micro silver as well. Let me look up that ticker symbol. Trading margins, silver. SIL is that ticker symbol. SIL is that ticker symbol. Tony, good call. So feel free, but there's great trading opportunity in silver. I think silver could be just as big as gold, if not larger. Not talking as far as price, but I'm talking as far as movement. Okay. And we're quickly approaching that 79.70 number. Right now, we're quickly approaching that number, so we'll see what happens there. Over, it may happen in this presentation today. Let's take a look now at. Let's go Lululemon. Now, I know there's one person in here that has to be kicking themselves with Lululemon as I was very faithful, very confident in this. Got in at 171.26 was my entry. And I'm sold off like half of, or a little more than half of my position at $220, and still have about some of it left. And I do think, though, that it will pull back into this 187 realm. And then once it's there, we'll be setting up for its next rally up. Okay. So if you're not in it right now, that's okay. Here's my kind of personal forecast on it. Going off these lows here and using a full Fibonacci tool to show me where this thing needs to go. So 233.60 is our next kind of major price target. 233.60 is where our D extension is. However, we hit natural resistance. The market is pulling back. We have this major gap right in here, which I want to see filled before we get any major trading opportunity. Right in. Stop doing that. There we go. Right there. That's where I'm looking for this market to get into, this price zone. So anywhere from 197, 198, let's call it, to 187 is where I'm looking for another potential entry to re-enter in on Lululemon. So I'll throw on this. Yep. Price we're waiting to buy at 188.50 is what I called it, and we're still $20 higher than that right now, so just wait for that. But we already had that trade go for it. United Healthcare, let's take a quick look. UNH. United Healthcare, still, we just got a blue dot on United Healthcare, guys, on the 4 hour. Let's take a look at the daily. On the 4 hour, we just got a blue dot. Daily, we probably get one early next week. Still looking for this thing to rally up to our 583 number. That's our number that we're pushing, holding this thing until. But again, I have no real fear about this trade at all. I think that this is where this is going to go. Our next price target is 389 from 331. And, there could be a chance for a pullback in this to 274. Again, I'm not too worried about it. I've been in it since 270-ish, and it'll just be where I add to my position on United Healthcare. But 583-ish is where my long-term price target is. They're still a massive company. They're still huge. And there is, opportunity around this as well. Let's see. Silver beyond the gap fill down. Let's take a look. Yes, it is. Look at that. There's opportunity. I'm just telling you, there is opportunity here. If we look at the daily, let's see where we are daily wise. And look, there's naturally going to be some pullback, right? Things don't just move parabolic forever. There'll naturally be some pullback, and then we'll see, will these levels of support and resistance hold? That's the big question, adding to a touch of it here and there, phenomenal. Just looking to buy just because it's down right now, maybe wait on that, right? You got to think, some people are cashing in. Some people are saying, hold on, I need to go back into a risky environment, back into some stocks, back into some things this week. And it's a slow week. market week. So again, this is an easy decision to hold off on just jumping in. Um, Now, this may be a spot to add a little bit of trade opportunity here. Um, I think it goes as low as 71. It could, right? There is a gap right here. Just FYI, 71,975. There is a gap right there. That's the only gap on the chart. It's on the 5 minute. It is not on the daily though. It's not a daily gap. It's the only gap on the 5 minute chart though. And I think it's on a 5 and a 15. Yep, 5 and 15. So could it go for that? Maybe. Wouldn't be surprised if it did. We'll just keep an eye on this as well. The other is like you probably had a lot of pending selling orders up here at the 82 mark, and then that's why we hit 82 and just slam straight down. That's the other side of things when it comes to parabolic moves like that. So I'll keep an eye on it for sure. Let's take a look at oops. Let's go ahead and jump into some of yours stuff, RDW. Actually, I'm going to start with CRISPR Therapeutics because I want to mention this right now. So CRISPR Therapeutics. If you don't know what they do genetic mapping and genetic modeling so people can develop new drugs to help things. One of the drugs, for instance, called SMA, or it treats what's called SMA, which is SMA disease. Yeah, spinal muscular atrophy. It happens in adults, but it also happens in children. And previously, there was zero treatments for this disease. Kids had newborns with it had a life expectancy of 2 years because your body doesn't produce a specific protein that allows specific protein in your body that doesn't allow it to send your brain to send signals to your muscles for it to work. Well, using CRISPR therapeutics as well as others, there have been drugs that have been created that have cured this disease in every case except for two, where two kids died of a secondary offshoot disease because of where they were. Now, the problem about these drugs is that the treatments are a couple $1,000,000, and I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. Like, I wish that was being facetious. So some companies won't pay it, and things like that. And you get into this whole ethical conundrum, and it's not the drug producer's fault. It's not the technology fault. It's not the fault of the insurance company. It's that we just didn't plan. Our existing rules were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they haven't been updated for what new technologies can bring. Now, why I'm big on CRISPR is because this technology is going to be used and used and used and used more and more and more as we treat previously thought incurable diseases. Could help cure ALS, absolutely. It could also help with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all sorts of things. Very, very interested in what this stock can do. And at $55, I think it's a great opportunity for people. Back in 2020 and 2021, when it helped with certain, vaccines and the technology was used for that, we saw this stock spike up to 4 times with the price that it is right now. And it's done what you guys know me for by this point is my pattern on publicly traded companies that just go public, right? They had this massive runoff, sell off, another run up, another sell off, and then they've gone pretty flat for the last couple of years. And I just see them potentially exploding over the next few years as this technology becomes more and more used. Okay. So Crisp is awesome. Van, good to see you, buddy. I hope the trip to California was good. We need to catch up sometime. But yes, it's a great pickup. The other stock I want to talk about as well, and I don't know if this is in your biotech, NTLA. So NTLA, you had BlackRock, Kathy Wood with ARK, and Vanguard all pick up literally millions of dollars of shares, like million plus number of shares of this company when in this $8 area. Okay. So I got in at 810. If you're not in yet, I would absolutely potentially say that you should pick some up. It's a $9.44 stock. And don't be don't look at it, don't think about it, don't worry about it, just hold it, and then you could potentially get out when it hits 25. But I think that this stock could rally back up, right? They had some issues with their human clinical trials in phase 3. They got those issues fixed. That the next clinical trials is going to be beginning early 2026. If this goes through, this could be a massive ordeal here. So this is a stock that I would potentially put on your radar, if not get in right now. If it goes from 944 to 199 bucks, then it'll be a great day. Okay. It'll be a great day for a while. But NTLA is another one as well. Let's see. All right. So we did CRISPR. I'm just highlighting it, what we've done. Let's go RDW. RDW. And what company is this? Redwire Corporation. I can need to look into them a little bit just so I can speak a little bit intelligently on them. What does the red wire do? You got to cut the red wire, right? Space contracts. Okay. Let's see. Mm. Good old Jacksonville. Okay. So not too far from where they need to launch from, which is smart placement of a company. Um, Earnings, not the mm, not the best, but we'll see here. Revenue, good. All right, let's see ownership real quick. BlackRock owns about 2% of them. SSGA, Vanguard, Voya, Morgan Stanley, good group of individuals. And ownership. Wow. Something happened mid-year to really skyrocket them in their ownership. Pending management change. Okay, so new board coming in is what we're looking at here. And then let me do um the exploration company's European space capsule. So government contracts with Europe right now, which is great. And DARPA gave them $44 million. Um, okay. All right, now let's do some analysis here. So Redwire, again, very similar, right? You had a run up, sell off, went flat. No good earnings for quite some time. Run up, sell off, starting on that go flat area. Um, hmm. Good gap to fill at 13, even if you doubled your profits here. Uh, $22 a share is their prediction. That would take it up to near recent highs, June highs. So, yeah, this could be a great opportunity here for anybody looking into that sector. Um, you know, especially with what they were awarded by their European opportunity. I mean, 7 to 10 is an easy win there. 7 to 13 is something I see as well. 22, I see potentially a climb a little higher. But that's where analysts seem to see the company at. um let's see our estimates. Target price $12.56, and that's 10 analysts say that it will. That's where it's saying it should be rated. 12.56. The highest is that $22, but you have 12. The mean, which is 12.56. You got more 11, 9, 13, 13, 15, 9, 9. Okay, so 13 to 9. So anywhere in there, there's still some. Obviously, it's an undervalued opportunity. A lot of buys in this. So yes, I could absolutely see a buying opportunity in this on RDW. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to say that I want to, I mean, at $7.15, there's not too much risk in it, right? Um, Alton, I leave that to the individual. Alton asked me a question. He said, "Hey, with these stock opportunities, do you recommend the stock itself, stock options, or both?" Um, I leave that up to the individual, right? If you want to go about doing trading options on this, feel free. My job, because options only have value because of the underlying asset, right? So if I go here and I look at RDW, and we look and see, looking at maybe a January 27 leap, right? If I buy the $8 leap or even the $5 leap, I'm looking at what? $390 for 1 year of time. And that gives this 1 year to get to my price target of whatever that may be. Maybe $22, maybe $13. If I should say, well, I I believe that this could happen before January. Well, maybe I'll buy an at the money call for $285, and as long as it gets to, if it gets to 9 or it gets to 13, I'll make some money there, right? So you just have to just um, know what you're trading, know about what you're trading, know why you're trading it, know why you're buying at what you're buying, all of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I leave that up to the user to figure out. I give you you have the instruction manual on that one. All right. So RDW, I'm gonna throw that up into the ones that we look at weekly. Um, and then let's go ASTS real quick. ASTS. Let's see what they do really quickly. ASTS. Space Mobile. Is this like Boost Mobile? Yes, it is. Apparently, it is. Building a broadband cellular network in space to operate directly with standard, unmodified mobile devices based on IP and patent portfolio. Midland, Texas. All right. The only thing I always wonder about this is like the cost of getting the satellites into space, or are they using leasing other satellites like from Starlink or whomever, right? And what company are they leasing the bandwidth for sure. Right. What company are they leasing that from? It could be Starlink. And like who where is do they have the because you have to have a large runway for something like this. And what I mean by large runway, not like a spaceship to take off, I mean a large runway of cash in the bank to pay the people and continue to have money in the bank for a long time. Because if you don't, right, if you don't, then that could be a big problem. Um, Anesh says ASTS has their own satellites. Great. That's fantastic. What's the cost of maintenance on those? How do they maintain them? What happens if one is severed in connection? Those are all things that we have to think about as users, right? Like I live in a town where we've had hurricanes. I've experienced when a cell tower loses service, and now that company is now forced to, I was with Verizon. They had to lease tower space from AT&T. Our network was slow in certain areas, and da 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 da. It just got crazy. And then they had to rebuild the tower, and that was millions and billions of dollars. I have to assume that it could be more to do it up in space, and things like that. And how do they improve the structure? Those are all things that I wonder about. I don't knock the validity of it. I know for a fact that they're gonna make this is the future. Let me just say that right now, right? I know that this is the future. I'm not saying that. Um, gotcha. Okay. So they're providing the mobile service to AT&T and T and Verizon like Starlink is with T-Mobile. Okay, got it. So Google and AT&T are comps. American Tower, Vodafone, Rakuten, Verizon. Okay. Let's look at ownership. Love the ownership group for sure. Can't argue with that. 7701 is the target price. It is, it exceeded the target price a little while ago. Uh, have had some blips in profit as of recent. Obviously, those are probably CapEx investments and things like that that'll come off and pay dividends later on. I like that we've seen this little bit of a pullback here. I actually really do. Um, I don't like buying stocks when they're parabolically high. So I could see this going up to 112 from where it is. Um, Next blue dot, maybe have a look for a buying opportunity or take in a little bit now. But 112 is where I could see this going up to. Let's see. It just, I know the profit is going to be capped because there's only so much that people will pay for their cell phone bills. And if the goal, like, if the goal is to make it cheaper, how do they recoup their costs is my biggest. It has always been like it's a lot like pharmacology for me, right? Is that the reason why those drugs I was mentioning cost so much is because there's so few people that have the ability to develop them. But once those patents end and more people can develop them, then those drug prices can come down. And once the technology exists to improve the manufacturing process, that technology cost comes down. And now the price of the drug is normalized, right? Instead of $1 million, it may be $1,000, or a couple $100, whatever it may be. But how do you do that? The same applies with the whole satellite thing, because there's a finite amount of expense that people are willing to pay for their cell phone service. And so that means that AT&T and T and Verizon and all these other companies, they have to lease this bandwidth at a specific price. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Well, if you have a fixed price going in and you're spending billions and they're not willing to pay billions, then you got a big problem, right? Um, yes, Van, I can. Let's see. It's not AIM, it's ARM. Oh, ARM. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yes, Wes, that's a very, yes, I said that. CRISPR, they lease their technology to other companies, and those other companies develop treatments. However, though there's not as big as of a cost cap structure, because at the end of the day, the pharmacology, the company that develops the drug, is able to say, hey, we know it's going to take this many man hours, this many people, this is half that what they earn. It needs to be kept. We have to develop in this clean room and this area and this. There's a lot of fixed costs or sunk cost into developing a drug that are known knowns, right? There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to the final frontier, if you will, to be punny. Let's see. Cover all secured and unsecured notes of the former company. Van, what that typically is talking about is the secured part is cash, the unsecured part is stock, is shares, and they're willing to give them a fixed price for those shares no matter what happens. Now, that's generally done when you see like one company take over another company, when like a Merck buying a drug company, they'll either offer, they're basically paying for the company with the shares of their stock, which is technically like an unsecured value, because their stock price could fluctuate, if that makes sense. So let's see. I do like this company. I think that it has the ability to run up higher, especially if they're already partnering. Because T-Mobile went straight with our Starlink went with T-Mobile, but they didn't go with anybody else. And so AT&T and T and Verizon. And here's where I also see, um, yes, Van, it does. Here's where I also see a really good option with with a company like AST Space Mobile. Okay. Um, Another option is for companies, airlines to partner with them to use them as their service provider for Wi-Fi on planes, because that is a key thing that Starlink has right now. And and they're doing it for the military and other instances. But if somebody like this company, ASTS, can do it for Delta, there's another revenue stream instantly created. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Priyanka, that's pretty far out. Cruise ships as well, Alton. Yes, good point. right? So there is, some other expansion. But it's what I expect is more of this Priyanka than I expect of this. We're going to consolidate for a while before we see the rally. All right, let's take a look at our next couple of companies. I'm gonna try to pick the speed up here. HYMC and Melly. See. Now, what caused this crazy movement here? Um, Silver. Okay. Silver mining companies. Personally, guys, I'll be honest, I'm not I don't really invest in the mining company. I just invest in the metal. That's just me personally. Um, that's just me personally. Uh, uh Lance, thank you for that. Want to share what Lance just sent me here. He said American Tower, AMT, one of the world's largest owners and operators of telecommunications infrastructure, is a major shareholder in ASTS. American Tower recently sold just under $160 million worth of ASTS Space Mobile stock, an amount that dwarfs prior insider transactions for the company. This sale was not made under a predetermined plan, which increases their potential for bearish implications. That's amazing, Lance. Thank you for that. So exactly is what that means, Wes. So when it comes to like mining companies, there's only one mining company that I've really ever invested in is PPTA, and I still hold it, and it's a long-term play for me. Again, I like this company. I like this move, but a lot of it's going to be based off of price of silver. If silver begins to fall, then we'll see, that drop off, and this is where we are. Could see this come back into that, area here of 16 or so. Um, what had them at 110? I don't know. But could see them come back down into that from where they are down into 16 to $17 is where I probably look for this to come down to first before taking advantage of it and moving it up higher as silver moves higher. Um, if any, do you see impossible margin requirement change in the silver futures? William, it'll flip up and down. It'll, margin requirements depending on your broker, like I know Tradeovate will change them, but they give you ample time. They send you information, right? We're literally, I have seen maybe the intraday margin on silver is well, there you go, just changed to $4,000. And it was $1,000 on silver just what, a little bit ago. So it was 1,000, now 4,000, and 24,000 to hold it overnight. Still gives you a great amount of return though. If we look at micro, so we'd probably be looking at what's micro at. Micro is now at 2,000. That's why you're seeing a major sell off. To be honest with you, seeing a big sell off because of the cost to trade it, probably. And so it's forcing a lot of people out of the market just in general. Um, so let's keep going here. Melly, MELY. Right? Is that it? Yeah. Um, so Melly is still kind of just sitting there. This end of the year has been just up in October, November, back down, just kind of consolidating around in this stock. If I look at the fibs from the high to my low, high to low, um, broke that there, there. So 1838.45 is where we could see this go to. 1838.45 is where we could see that go to. Um, so we will see what occurs here. We will see what occurs here, but 1838.45 is where my long-term price target is on this before we may see a rally up. So did that one, AVGO. AVGO. Broadcom, yes, I think they'll fill this gap over the next few days. Up to 394 is where I see Broadcom going back up to. We still do have a little bit of a ways on the downside gap to 308. So that is kind of the big, we're at this big kind of influx point. I still see us filling this gap 396, then filling the gap to the downside at 295. So the move I would anticipate is something like this before the end of this going into the early part of next year and then the next rally up. Okay. Let's keep this rolling. Then pound yen because I don't want to miss it. GBP, JPY. Pound yen still, still just moving on up like the Jeffersons here. 211,686 is your FIBD extension. We've kind of gotten very close to that. Haven't seen it pull back yet. We are seeing some selling energy going into there, but we don't have a cross here yet. But look on a smaller time frame. I do see some selling opportunity, but and we're still in the sell zone. So perhaps we'll see a little bit of a sell off here in the pound yen over the next little bit. But it's not looking like as such as we're pushing up higher here into out of the yen into the pound and for some rally. So quick check on silver. Bounce off those lows, coming back up. We'll see how it goes. Let's go target TGT. That again, it's risen about 3% in that spike up that it had. Just a great earnings beat, and I think that it'll still be there. Don't anticipate anything going, sideways with them as a retailer. They are, a retail giant, and they still are a very solid company. 109.93 is my ultimate price target on target. ARM, let's go ARM, ARM. Again, this has to do, the whole NVIDIA circular financing, all of that is where we're kind of, really focused in on ARM and all of those companies. They've kind of just been up, down, and every which way. But look, I still think it comes back. 130 is where I want to see it. We just don't have the market energy. We don't have a blue dot. We're not in the buy zone. Would I jump into it now? No, I wouldn't. I want to see either market energy, a blue dot, something to give me some sort of speculation that, hey, we are going to go up, but we're not seeing that happen yet. If that continues to be the case. I mean, 103.51 is my low, and take a look at that. There's a gap right here. Right at 102.20-ish. So we're looking at right there in that gap for ARM to fill before maybe seeing the next pullback and maybe some bullish opportunity. Does that make sense with everybody? Yes or no? On ARM, let's go UMC. 802. I don't know. This is one of those I don't know enough about the company. Here's one thing, and this is one of my kind of predictions for next year. When technology, if you look back throughout like all of the technology history, right? This is, I'm not, let me very cautiously say, I'm not, listen to the full sentence before I, or the full statement before you judge me on what I'm going to say. This is in the 1999 to 2001 era, there was a big push on hardware. And hardware in technology has not always been the biggest thing. The biggest thing has been the software side of things and how programs can utilize the hardware to build even to become even better and become more efficient and become, you know, overall better. And then what occurs is that hardware makes a giant leap forward and then software catches up, and then hardware makes a giant leap forward and then software catches up. And so the thing about like UMC, ARM, NVIDIA, all of them, they are great companies and they will continue to be great and they are driving the future. However, we need to see some of the software catch up and become even better. Like that's why I think Google is very interesting. They're manufacturing their own chips, but they're also manufacturing their own software in their own cloud, and there's kind of a self-contained um, structure in that. Now, launches circular economy center to advanced stage chip recycling. Love it. I like companies like this. I just don't know if this is going to be the next big company. So be very, 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 very cautious. Okay. Kathy, no, they're not. They are making their own. So right. Just I like the company. Let me just say this. Hardware is not dead. It is still a great, great, great investment right now. What you want to do is, and what you're probably going to see is going to be like some slight rotation out of hardware into software. Okay. Can this get back into these highs of 12 and 13 bucks? You bet your bottom dollar it can. Right? Absolutely it can. If we look and see that where this, you know, estimates are, probably going to be like, oh, estimate says it's $6.47 is where the target price needs to be. That's not a great thing. Let's see our targets and ratings here. So hold, sell, underweight it. I would be cautious, right? I would be cautious. This is how I want you to think about approaching this. And this is, again, user, this is all up to you, right? If you were in this stock, and let's say, just hypothetically say you bought down at, I don't know, $5.65. and you're sitting at $8.02 and you're like, this is great, da da da. What I would do is I would have a stop loss or limit order selling half of my shares at $7.79. That way, if anything happened at max, I've locked in some profit and I've made some great money. Then I can always get back in at a lower price. I can do whatever I want to do as far as that is concerned. But also, if this does rally up and it goes even higher, you've just protected yourself some profit. And then I would slowly, like, let's say it goes up to $8 or $9. Then I would move my limit up to 850, right? And I would just trail the market by 50 cents all the way around. Okay. So, um, right. That's my opinion on those things. Micron, same thing, you know, same thing. I think that Micron will probably fill this gap at 236. You may end up filling this gap at 142. This is where those corrective plays in hardware are going to come, and this is where those companies they will end up getting, end up falling down to is these gaps are going to get filled, right? This parabolic move does not last forever. Just ask Bitcoin. Just ask Bitcoin, right? Sorry, Kathy. I misread what you initially said. Uh, Making their own chips. So no, you're right. They are designed by Google. Um, and everything else is held within Google. I misread what you had written there. I apologize about that. I looked back at your comment there. But yes, you are correct. MU does make their own chips. Yes, they do. What we're working out in the tech space as well is there's two kind of competing choices. There's the parts of a system choice, and then there's the whole system. And what do I mean by this? So think about it this way. You have, to simplify it down to first principles. In order to build something tech wise today, you need to have your chips, you need to have servers, and you need to have cloud space, and you need to have compute, right? Now, think about it this way. You can either have a solution that gives you all in one, or you can go out and shop and say, I'm going to get these chips and these servers and this space and this cloud and try to patch it all together and make it work. We will see what ends up being the best. But right now, with the leap that Google has taken on over the competition for its LLM, Gemini's competition, Gemini's benchmarks versus all other benchmarks, Gemini still blows this stuff out of the water. Right? Gemini still blows this stuff out of the water. So it's very, very interesting in what we're seeing here. Micron, I do see a gap that gets filled. I think 237.65 before, anything else. I do anticipate at minimum pull back to 268 is my bare minimum there. This high here is what I'm looking for before I see it moves up. Where do quantum machine companies fit into all this tech bullish trends? Quantum is still a little bit of ways out. Quantum, in order to really get the power of quantum, we also need AGI as well, because quantum can do so much more than like, you want to hear something that's like scary? One chip built and owned by Google right now, the biggest, most powerful quantum computing chip and processor on this planet that is plugged into the world, that is using it, and they are using it. Okay. It has the ability to compute seven, or what is it? 1 septillion amount of data per second. It literally is the only it could hack everybody's bank account in minutes, and it is the only thing on the planet that is absolutely 100% capable of hacking SHA 256, which rules Bitcoin. That is a mind-blowing amount of compute. We're not there yet, right? For it. Its full power can't be released to the world and harness. So AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, will come first. That's supposedly a year to 2 years out. Um, and then quantum computing will be the next kind of big thing. So but the one companies that I think get overlooked here, and I think if you're looking for something on a discount right now, OKLO and SMR, right? I'm telling you, $76, great discount for a company like this. Could easily fill this gap back at 150. I'm not worried about it. This is one of those. I do still see though there is some room to fall. Let me not hide behind anything. $65 would be my total low on it. But I think OKLO and SMR are two companies that could see a good amount of opportunity here, right? Uh, I think that we're kind of at our lows for SMR, may push a little bit lower to, 11, 9, $10 somewhere, but I do see this getting back into the $32 range. So these are two energy companies that I do see as a viable opportunity coming up. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap this session up here today. First and foremost, thank you all for joining here. I'm going to send out that Discord link again. And just in case anybody missed it, I saw we had a bunch of latecomers. So if you want to join my Discord, there's the Discord right there. Feel free. It's a free channel. Interact as much as you want. I post in there. We have a bunch of people that post in there as well. And then lastly, guys, if you want to book any time with me, to discuss or how we can optimize your retirement and how we can help you better plan and what we can do potentially for you. There is my Calendly link as well, and you can book time directly with me as well. So I appreciate you all, and we will be back here next week on Sunday in the new year, 2026. So if I don't see you or see you in a webinar before then, have a happy and safe new year, and I look forward to talking to you guys very, very soon. Have a good one. Bye.